Good morning, good morning, good morning. Now, there was one time I wouldn't have been quite as happy and optimistic in the morning because I never used to like getting up. Even with every job, it was like, oh, can I just snooze? Can I just snooze a bit longer? I'm tired. I just need that bit longer. Whereas now what I try and do, and you know what? I'm perfectly imperfect and I don't have to get it right every time. And how great is that realisation of actually, oh, I should embrace the world every morning. Wake up and feel it. And sometimes, we don't. We feel a bit tired, lethargic, whether or not we're in pain or we have things going on. But what I do is I made the choice to set my intention and start the day how I want it to be, rather than unfolding and waiting for things to happen. And I don't know if you resonate with this, but I've done it where you're late, you've chose to sleep that little bit longer, and then you might be late, you get up, you're feeling a bit flustered, and before you know it, you come back home and say, oh, I found it really difficult today, I'm tired. And I found that some of that is because what happens is we don't engage our mind and body together. And we don't have to get it right all the time. It's a practice. One of the things that I've learned is it's not always about reaching the end goal. It's about embracing life as that journey. So in the morning, what I've started to do, and it's really helped, is when that alarm goes off, no matter how much I want to, I get up. And whether or not it's go and have a drink first, but what I do is get up. It's the first thing that I don't allow myself now to think about, just having half an hour, even if I don't feel it, is to make that decision to get up out of bed, and then once I'm ready is to take, like I'm doing this morning, my beautiful little Mr. Chips. If you can see him, he's coming for his walk. And it is a beautiful morning. I mean, the sky's blue. Wow, this is January the 13th and it's absolutely lovely morning. But when I'm using this time, I'd normally rush, take the dog out for a walk, then get ready to go to work. By getting up that bit earlier, what I'm doing is actually focusing on not how I feel, but what do I feel? What am I feeling right in the body? What would I like to achieve today? And what that does, that gives me time to connect with what I'd like for today. And it might not be anything, huge and dramatic, because it doesn't have to be, but it might be, well, I just, I'm feeling quite tired today, or what I'm feeling in my body is an ache or a pain. And 9 times out of 10, because we're so busy, which it is a busy life that we lead, I don't focus on it. So what I do in the morning, and it's going to be quite tricky showing you this because I've got a lead in one hand and a phone in the other. But when I'm walking like I am now, I think about, okay, what am I feeling in the body? Now, this was not, I'd love to say it was my idea, but of course it isn't. A lot of this information is my journey and what I've learned. And, I used to say, oh, how am I feeling? But now what am I feeling in the body? Okay, I'm feeling maybe a tightness in my low back or my shoulder, or I'm feeling a little bit of anxiety or worry or whatever that might be. So then what I do is I go, okay, for me, I just think, how intense does that feel? I use a scale of 0 to 10, but you don't have to necessarily use that. Do you feel, if you can use an emotional scale, you can just tune in to, even when I'm working with children, smiley faces, do you feel sad or do you feel happy? And where are you feeling that in the body? And maybe that emotion that's coming up, I might not even feel it in the body. And if I don't feel it anywhere in the body, that's okay too. But what I'm doing is I'm acknowledging. I'm creating that space to acknowledge what I'm actually feeling. And then for me, when I'm walking the dog, and I do tap and walk, I would do what we call the karate chop point, and I will put some of this information out there, but it's just like, okay, even though I'm feeling tired, a little bit of worry, and I'm feeling it in my low back, and then I say, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Now, it may seem weird. Well, if I'm feeling like that, why on earth would I want to accept it and love myself? But what that's doing, that's creating this amazing opportunity to open up the subconscious mind to actually develop and understand. And we've got another little dog here that's come and said hello. Oh, I love it. And what that does, we're acknowledging where it is, what we're feeling, but we're also saying that it's okay, that we accept it rather than battling against it. And that was something that I used to do. I used to say words like, oh, just push through the pain, just ignore it, or just, well, everyone feels angst. And it kind of, even saying it now, I can feel like there's this resonance of kind of anger and frustration coming up in my body. And then once I've tapped on the karate chop point, I tend to, when I'm walking, use the finger points, which again I'll show you how to do. But what that's doing, that's tuning in. And each one of those acupoints, when I touch them and tap them, what it does, oh my gosh, it has this amazing ability to reduce and work with what we call the limbic system, which is, I think a lot of people have heard of fight and flight syndrome. So that's when your body automatically goes into, oh my gosh, I've got to prepare because something bad is going to happen. Oh my gosh. And of course what happens, even if you think of it totally, forgetting about your belief in the EFT and the mind connection, but just what happens to the body, well, I know myself, I feel tightness, tension, everything shortens, and then the brain might go into a series of what ifs. That used to be a big one of mine. What if? Well, if I do that, what if? And sometimes on a health, what if I'm having a heart attack? What if there's something wrong with me? What if I'm going to feel anxious for the rest of my life? And it can grow and grow and grow. But what happens is when we acknowledge it and we tap on the acupuncture points, because tapping is a psychological therapy. It's acupuncture without needles. So that's the science behind it. And there's, and I say my journey, because we all develop, and my journey isn't to kind of, as I now know, is to actually learn, develop and grow and understand more to support myself. And if it helps someone else, then that's always been my intention. But there's a brilliant doctor, and I'm just actually going to order her book. It's called The Science Behind Tapping by a lady called Peta Stapleton, and I really want to start to engage more in that. But anyway, I'm digressing and I'm waffling, because sometimes I do that, and that's okay as well. That's part of who I am. So when I've acknowledged what am I feeling in the body, and I've accepted it, and I've used the tapping points, when I tune back into that emotion, so how does it feel? Do I feel less pain, less stress, less anxiety, less worry? And sometimes if it hasn't shifted, I'll use what we call a sore spot, which is we tend to rub around that area. Oh, there's my neighbour, I'm just giving a wave. And that's the other thing, I'd never walk along the street tapping and talking to myself like this. I'd be like, oh, what will people think? They'll think there's that woman who goes around tapping. And it's like, actually, part of that has helped me to let go of what others think. And that doesn't mean to say that I don't care what other people think, because I'm a human being, so I'm tuned into that. But what it allows me to do is to not hold back because of fear of what people will think. So anyway, going back to it, so I've looked at myself and I feel, okay, I feel better. And then in that time when you tap, the aha moments and the magic happens because all of a sudden you'll get a bit of clarity. There may be a piece of information that you hadn't acknowledged that comes to mind. So, for example, it might be I'm walking along and I've got this pain, and then a bit of clarity is, well, actually, Alison, you haven't stretched. Have you looked after yourself? Have you hydrated yourself? And maybe, okay, it's one of my beliefs, my core beliefs or my limiting beliefs that I'm doing the shoulds again. You should do this, you should do that. And when you release that emotion, you find that you're setting yourself up for the day. You're clearing out some of those unwelcome conversations that we have going round and round and round in our head, and you just get peace and clarity. And I don't know if you can hear, but just even after talking about this, all of a sudden, I look at just outside my house, the trees, I can hear the birds, and it just, feel a lot more calm. Anyway, much kindness, and speak soon.